Wow, man, oh man, it's been a while since I made a new video, especially a computing related one in a while, a retro computing one. As far as my two Compaqs go, they're both still running up and fine, but yeah. Anyway, welcome to this video, and in this video, we are gonna be doing more to this Intel Compaq, which has been sitting on for like a few weeks, maybe close to about like a month or so. I don't know, but anyways, I got up and running here with Windows 98 Second Edition. Its usual install of Windows 98 Second Edition. So now that we have everything in place, I have already got everything set and done. But yeah, so what we're going to be doing in this video is, well, we're going to be installing another OS on this thing because I usually like to multi-boot this Compaq and pretty much all other retro computers, as best as I can, obviously, because I'm a sucker for multi-boot systems. Because why not? It's me. I do it. But yeah. Anyways, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be installing another OS alongside Windows 98 Second Edition, and that is Windows 2000 Professional. Now, we're gonna be putting this disk in. This is a recorded copy. It's not an official one, but yeah, it's got scratches on it. But oh well, because I've used this so many times on these Intel or AMD Compaqs. But yeah, and this one came preloaded with Service Pack 4, so it comes preloaded with Service Pack 4. So I'm gonna be inserting the disk in the drive, and then I will be going ahead and start to reboot the system. Oh, whoa. This CD-ROM contains a newer version of Windows than the one you're presently using. Would you like to upgrade to Windows 2000? We would click yes on that, but since we're restarting to the disk itself, we're going to be doing it that way. So let's go ahead and press any key to boot from CD. Setup is inspecting your hardware configuration. Windows 2000 setup. So it's loading the files off of it. And this is actually the first time that I've shown this install process on my channel, obviously. After showing the Windows 98 setup process, I figured I'd show you me doing the Windows 2000 setup process on here. I never done it on my channel. I know others in the retro computing community or whatnot done something like this before, especially even the Windows related stuff. But anyways, here we are in the setup, and it's loading all the files that you're seeing at the bottom there. Now obviously if you're running this on a VM, that would go by pretty fast, or if you're using like an SSD, that would go pretty fast. I mean, who knows? Well, if you just loaded the setup from RAM and such, that will go by pretty fast, like with XP with easy to boot drivers. So anyways, here we are. Welcome to setup. This portion of the setup prepares Microsoft Windows 2000 TM trademark to run on your computer. To set up Windows 2000 now, press enter. To repair a Windows 2000 installation, press R. To quit setup without installing Windows 2000, press F3. We will set up Windows 2000 now, so we'll press enter. It's examining all the partitions and our licensing agreement, our end user license agreement that we can just skim through. We could read all of this carefully, but yeah, EULA ID W2K SP4. So this is Windows 2000 with Service Pack 4. Windows 2000 Professional with Service Pack 4. So, and we'll choose this partition. So NTFS W2K, I conveniently labeled it as that because that's where I'm gonna be putting it, and I will format the partition using the NTFS file system. Now, we could do a quick format of this partition, but since we're gonna be doing it this way. We're gonna be doing a full format, and I need to get my stopwatch. I started my stopwatch a little bit late, but yeah, I will pause the video here so that you guys won't have to bear with us waiting through formatting this thing. But anyways, yeah. So while I'm at it, I'll catch you up on the other side. All right, so I stopped the timer, and it was like what, about approximately 9 minutes to finish up the full format. So now it's examining the size of the discs. Checking all the partitions, including the temporary backup partition that I just set up. So now it's going to begin copying the files. Alright, please wait while setup copies files to the Windows 2000 installation folders. This may take several minutes to complete. Yada yada yada. And, yep. So, now that we got everything all set and done, once it finishes copying the files, then we should be able to see the Windows 2000 boot screen that I kind of know of personally. And you should be able to get into the Windows 2000 setup process, for the first time being shown on this channel. Let's wait and see. Once it finishes that, and I am plugging in my I'm plugging in my 256 gig flash drive just to make sure that I have the just to make sure that all the backup files are preserved. Yep, they are. Everything from that backup partition, from that temporary backup partition, is saved, which is a good sign. So, yeah, that's good. That's sorted at least. Anyways, it's almost done. So it's almost done copying the files. Please wait while setup initializes your Windows 2000 configuration. And now it's excuse me. And now it's wanting us to reboot. So enter to restart the computer. And Compaq logo, and we should see the Windows 2000 boot screen. There it is, and there we go, starting Windows. And then ta-ta, we have the Windows 2000 why did I say ta-ta? Ta-da, we have the Windows 2000 boot screen. As far as I know of, I fondly remember the screen because my cousins used to have a they had this computer system from back in the day. I think it was in the early to mid 2000s, and it was housed in that particular case that has a Pac-Man as its power button, and those dashes as pellets. So it's basically like you had those 3 dashes, and then there's a Pac-Man as a power button. So I think some of you might know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it had an MSI motherboard, judging by the geared or powered by MSI sticker on the case. But anyways, we're in the setup wizard. So this wizard installs Windows 2000, etc., because as you just saw it there, it automatically went to this screen. So it has a timeout. automatic timeout. I don't know how many seconds, but anyways, here we are installing devices. Setup is detecting and installing devices on your computer. Please wait while setup detects and installs devices such as your keyboard and mouse. This will take several minutes. During this time, your screen may flicker for a few seconds. So, back to what I was saying. I fondly remember Windows 2000 because my cousins had this they had this custom built computer back in the early to mid 2000s, and I kind of played on it a few times, several times or something. And that thing was dual booted with Windows XP and Windows 2000, obviously. I think Windows 2000 Professional was installed first, and then it had a Windows XP Professional, I would assume, installed on a different partition. So it was a dual boot system. It was a multi-boot system. I think it was one of the earliest multi-boot systems I've ever encountered. Possibly. So, yeah, that's how I kind of know about Windows 2000, obviously. Of course, I was very young back then, and I was used to Windows XP at the time because my childhood Compaq, as some of you might know, came, well, it originally came with Windows Millennium Edition, but my family upgraded to Windows XP Professional, I would say, sometime in late 2001, around the time when XP was started to being released. And yeah, so I use XP, obviously, and you can see the flickering thing happening there. But obviously, yeah, I have used Windows XP pretty much since I started using my childhood Compaq. Obviously, I never got to experience ME until when I got older. But like I didn't know much about ME at the time because I was pretty much young. I think my family only had ME for like a few months before XP came out, and then they upgraded it to Windows XP. And yeah, I think, yeah. Regional settings. You can customize Windows 2000 with different regions and languages. The system locale and user locales control how numbers, currency, and dates appear. System locale is set to English United States, and the user locale is set to English to United States for all users on this computer. To change system or user locale settings, click Customize. I will go ahead and do that. So we got everything here, and I will go ahead and set this to 2079 because when the 2020s are over, then I'm gonna have to like adjust the calendar date somewhat so that it accepts 2030 up to 2079. But you know, anyways, keyboard layout controls the characters that appear you type. Each user will use the US keyboard layout. So we don't have to change all this because, well, I know I live in the States, but all right. Name, organization, just type in my usual. And this thing, I'm gonna need a product key, so I'll pause here. Alright, typed in my product key already, and now we're here at the computer name and admin password. So, some of these, you know, as far as these setup windows go, if you have used XP back then when you were setting it up for the first time, you may be familiar with some of these screens because, well, I know for sure XP was based on Windows 2000 technology, and XP improves on what Windows 2000 had, obviously, while adding new features such as theme support and whatnot. We'll get to XP. We'll get to installing XP on my Intel Compaq in another video. But anyways, computer name and admin password. You must provide a name and admin password for your computer. Setup has suggested a name for your computer. If a computer is on a network, your network admin can tell you what name to use. I'll leave that computer name as is. And then there's another section down here that says, Setup creates a user account called Administrator. You use this account when you need full access to the computer. I will leave all those blank but I know for sure if you know if you're in the business environment, you would most likely type in a password, obviously for the admin. But since well, we're at home, obviously I don't need to set up here, especially since I'm not connected to a network. But hey, this thing can connect up to the internet, obviously, but you know. Anyways, date and time settings. Okay, set the correct date and time. So the date is correct, the clock is correct, and time zone. That's correct too. I do live somewhere in that area. Automatically adjust clock for daylight saving changes. So this is pretty much the default time zone for English U.S. releases. So I'll leave all those intact. So anyways, please wait while Windows installs networking components. So okay, typical settings. Creates network connections using the client for Microsoft Networks, file and print sharing for Microsoft Networks, and the TCP/IP transfer protocol with automatic addressing. We could choose the custom settings. So here we are. It has detected our Ethernet card, so it's an SMC EZ card 10100 Ethernet card. So it's a 10100 Ethernet LAN card. I think this is the well, this is the original OEM Ethernet card for this Compaq anyway. Client for Microsoft Networks, file and print sharing for Microsoft Networks and Internet Protocol TCP/IP. Of course, these two won't work anymore, but we'll just install those. Why not? Work group or computer domain. A work group is a collection of computers that have the same work group name. A domain is a collection of computers defined by a network admin. Do you want this computer to be a member of the domain? You need to obtain this info from your network admin. No, this computer is not on the network or is on a network without a domain, so we'll just use the work group. If we do use domain, then the default name will be domain, but since we're not connecting to domains, and we're just only connecting to work groups. So alright, so now it's installing the components and it's copying the files for the components. Please wait while setup installs the components. This may take several minutes. So essentially what we're doing here is we're basically we're prepping everything for Windows 2000, obviously, for it to boot up for first time use. Anyways, yeah, installing distributed transaction, so it's complete configuration of IE and COM plus or whatnot. Configuring COM plus. Alrighty. And yeah. Anyways, here's one little trick on here's one little trick for as far as Windows setup goes. I think since at least Windows 2000, which is this version, and it's still within Windows to this day. Oh, there it is. Performing final tasks. Setup must complete a final set of tasks. Please wait while setup installs start menu items, register components, save settings, and removes any temporary files used. So that's 4 steps. Now, if you're upgrading to Windows from Windows 9X or NT 4.0 to Windows 2000, there's an additional step that it does here, which is upgrading, updating configuration and system settings or whatnot, as that's what it says. That's just from what I recall from memory, but anyways, so we're on the final stages of setup here, and yeah. Oh, getting back to what I was saying earlier. So there's something that you can do on pretty much every Windows setup. Pretty much on every Windows setup since Windows 2000. So experienced users should know this. You hit Shift F10 on the setup sequence. That opens up the command prompt. Now, I wouldn't particularly mess around with the command prompt on setup, especially if you're a novice user. So, but for the know-how technical power users or experienced users will probably do something within that command prompt window. Like you could probably start installing drivers like graphics drivers or sound drivers or whatnot from within that particular setup sequence. Now you will obviously need something. You will obviously need drivers to be put on your flash storage or CD-ROM, and then you would have to load it via the command prompt. Preferably, preferably you would only install those things from the final stages of setup, obviously, because that will hopefully not cause any issues or conflicts and such. But as you can see here, we're on saving settings, and within the moment it will go into removing any temporary files used. So, with all that out of the way, we're almost done here. So, I guess within a few moments, I don't really need to pause the recording and then just skip to when we finished, because I'm just gonna let it be, and I'll just continue talking as I'll continue to talk along as we begin to go to the end of setup. And I do have, yeah, I still have the flash stick containing all of my I still have a 32 gig flash stick that contains everything that I need for these two Compaq systems, as far as what drivers go, and programs too, and other stuff. Anyways, yeah. Oh boy, it's been a while, and it has taken me a long while to try to get everything back up and running, reset up after I did something wrong to it. But anyways, completing the Windows 2000 setup wizard. So we have finished completing the Windows 2000 setup wizard. You have successfully completed Windows 2000 setup. If there is a CD in your drive, remove it. Then, to restart your computer, click Finish. I will go ahead and remove the disk from the CD drive as it prompts us to. Ooh, the disk is warm. It's feeling warm. And let's hit Finish. Of course, once we're in the OS, we do need to install some drivers, because while Windows 2000 has built-in drivers for some graphics cards, the graphics card that's in this thing, which is NVIDIA GeForce 4 MX440, Windows 2000 does not have built-in support for that. The NVIDIA Reba TNT2 Model 64 card does have drivers for Windows 2000, because Windows 2000 has built-in drivers for that. Anyways, we just saw the boot screen, obviously. So you can see the two options on the boot screen where it says Windows 2000 Professional and Microsoft Windows. And by Microsoft Windows, that is Windows 98 Second Edition, because that's pretty much how bootloaders typically label older versions of Windows. In this case, Windows 2000 and Windows XP's bootloader, using NTLDR, they list previous versions of Windows, like Windows 9X mostly, as Microsoft Windows. Now with Windows Vista and 7's bootloader, it labels Windows XP and prior as earlier versions of Windows. And I'm not too sure about NT4's bootloader or something. It labels like Windows 95 and 3.1 as MS-DOS. I'm not too sure about that, but anyways, Network Identification Wizard. Welcome to the Network Identification Wizard. This wizard helps you connect your computer to a network. Well, we're not connected to a network, but it just brings up this window because why not? It wants us to auto login, or we can just manually type our username in. We'll just select this thing. You can require all users to enter a username and password to log on, or you can have Windows assume the same user will always log on to this computer. We will not use auto login because that's what this option is for. We will use this option to manually type in our username and password. As always, complete the Network Identification Wizard. You have successfully completed the Network Identification Wizard. Why, thank you. All right, so this is the default login screen. Login box, obviously. So so the extra options are hidden, but if you click this button, you'll see all the other options listed. So the two of them, which is log on using dial-up connection and the shutdown button. Now log on using dial-up connection, I have not known what that is, and obviously since we don't have landline connections, not in our house anyway, this option is pretty much useless. But we'll hide all these options to hide all those two options, and we can select those. We'll just reveal all of those. So without further ado, let's just log on as admin. Now, of course, we don't have password set. Well, I guess it's fine here because we're not using this in a business environment. But anyways, let's go. Now, that tends to be the thing for Windows 2000 XP. It tends to set the volume a bit higher than what I usually expect for. So it's like that. I'll have to turn it down to a more reasonable one because it was a little bit too loud. But so this is the getting started with Windows 2000 applet that comes up when you log into Windows 2000 for the first time, or when you create new users and you log into them for the first time. Click on that and it says click on the start button. You can access all your programs, documents, and settings from the start menu. Click on the start button to begin. And it even brings up a tooltip there. When you hover over it, it says click here to begin. That has changed to starting with Windows Vista and up. Ooh, connect to the internet. So this is the internet connection wizard. We will select the LAN option, and we will do automatic discovery of proxy servers. We will not set up an internet email account. And then we click finish, and that icon will disappear like that. As simple as that. Okay, we'll go to properties, 800 by 600, and our new settings have been applied. So this is what Windows 2000 looks like with the default VGA graphics driver. I know for sure Windows XP has its own VESA enabled driver, so we get higher color depths than what Windows 2000 and prior does. Anyways, let's see. As far as the default programs go, we only got IE and Outlook Express. Under accessories, we got pretty much the basic Windows components that you can think of. Windows 2000 Professional also introduces Narrator too, with a voice that many of you probably know of.
Foreground window. OK, push button to press. Use space bar. Microsoft Narrator dialog. Foreground window. Foreground window. Voice list. Voice settings dialog. Voice list. Speed spin control. OK.
So this is Microsoft SAM. This is the SAP before version. This is the most popular version of the Microsoft SAM voice because I've seen and heard the voice being used on many YouTube videos. And yeah, those were the times. Anyways, so we got Narrator, we got on-screen keyboard. So this is the updated version of on-screen keyboard that adds the new Windows logo instead of the old one. that came with Windows 2000 RTM. We got magnifier, so all these accessibility things. You click run, WinVer. So this is what WinVer looks like using low color depths. Version 5.0, build 2195, service pack 4. So we're on the latest service pack. x86 family 6 model 8 stepping 6. That's a mouthful, if that's what you call it. I mean, AT compatible, 640 megs of RAM, and so on and so forth. Now, that's pretty much it for me reinstalling Windows 2000 Professional, obviously. So I'll be going ahead and installing all the drivers and whatnot on this install. But yeah, I guess that about concludes it for this video. So I thank you guys for watching this, and I hope to see y'all in the next one. See ya.